It is an emergency edition of the Bama Online podcast on the YouTube home for BamaOnline.com. Travis Reier, senior analyst for BOL, alongside site publisher Tim Watson, of course, down there in the center square. Our senior recruiting editor, Andrew Bone. And to get these two guys together on the fly like this, you know it's big news. And guys, certainly qualifies as such as Keelon Russell, the four-star quarterback from Duncanville, Texas, has flipped to the Alabama Crimson Tide, one of the top gunslingers, as Tim Watts likes to call him, from the state of Texas for the class of 2025. Tim, give us some initial thoughts, and Andrew, we'll get to you next.
I just think it was a great job by the Alabama staff. Again, we've talked about how they came in kind of behind the eight ball with so many guys committed, a little bit of pressure, who Alabama had recruited with the previous regime under Saban, having to go out and see their guys. But when Nick Sheridan got out on the road, went and saw some of the guys, because almost everybody they were looking at, maybe everybody, was committed to another school. Russell jumped to the front. I've been a big fan of this guy. His film, and this guy that came from a three-star, SMU needs a lot of credit. He was a three-star guy. Next thing you know, he's got offers from Alabama, Oregon. I think there's a lot of schools that would be interested in him. If he was to open it wide open. But Alabama's been closing that gap pretty consistently since the offer and then official visit, and this thing just took off. We're at Tuesday after the official visit, and he's committed. So hats off to Nick Sheridan, Kalen DeBoer, and the whole staff for making this happen.
Yeah, Andrew, it felt like it was trending this way for a while now. Saw some RPM start to go in. I know you guys were among that. Fong Bomb, I guess we can say, was a part of that as well. When did you sense that this thing was really starting to trend heavily in Alabama's favor?
Well, I think once Alabama extended that offer back on April 24th and quickly secured an official visit, you kind of knew that Alabama was going to be a contender. He grew up an Alabama fan. Of course, that doesn't always mean that's where he's going to go, but they were able to get him on campus for the official, and he had a lot of positive things to say last week. I think it was on Tuesday at the On3 Elite in Nashville prior to the official visit, talking about how the relationship had really grown with Coach Sheridan, Coach DeBoer. They were hitting him up consistently, and he loved the attention. It was all about getting to campus, seeing everything, sitting down with coaches, being around the players, and just being around the overall program, and seeing if that was a place where he fit in. And we started hearing some buzz because Friday night that things were already starting to go really well with Keelon, and then again on Saturday, and all of a sudden we started seeing predictions. Of course, he told us that, and his father said that they were still going to take some visits. He had to visit to Florida this weekend, a visit to Oregon on the 21st, and we were kind of patient. We were like, let's just kind of wait and see if those visits end up taking place. But got some good word that he was going to go ahead and announce that decision today, and we were ready to go ahead and with those predictions.
Yeah, Tim, the path to this quarterback commitment for the 2025 cycle, it certainly had its twists and turns, including a change with the coaching staff. So some different things that came into play. It felt like anyway, Alabama might be zoned in elsewhere earlier on in the process, but I think you hit on it with the new staff and Nick Sheridan. They really vetted these guys, went in depth with these candidates and didn't just settle for, maybe a easier evaluation. You said it too. Give SMU some credit. They were on this thing very early with Keelon Russell, and just talk about how we got here. This isn't typical, I guess, in most cycles.
No, I mean, you don't see that many. And I don't think I realized how many quarterbacks had committed until I was looking to see what was out there for Alabama. And I remember on our shows touching on that, the three of us, we were talking like everybody's committed. You don't think Juju Lewis is committed, but he absolutely is committed. Nobody really considers him a commitment, but he's been committed to USC. All these guys were committed. Underwood, the number one guy in the country who had visited Alabama, was. So they're starting over from scratch. But I think what leaves the biggest impression on me is there wasn't a rush. There wasn't a panic to get a quarterback. They're willing to take their time. Basically that old cliche, betting on ourselves. We'll get our guy when we find our guy. No need to rush or just take anybody. They were very relaxed about it. But when they found their guy, when they saw Russell in action, that offer came quick. I think Nick Sheridan might have still been on the road when they're fire off the offer. And then just the push to get him there. And, also they have went and got him flipped, not just a decommitment, but a flip. And this guy will be recruiting for Alabama tonight. So holding off Oregon, who liked him a lot, big time program, had a lot of success with Bo Nix. Just again, hats off for making this happen because it took a lot of time to get here, but then it moved really fast once they found their guy.
Yeah, Andrew, it feels like this class is about at the midway point in terms of being completed. When you look at the number of commitments now with Keelon Russell coming on board, but always with a quarterback, it feels more significant as almost a centerpiece on an annual basis, and kind of the impact moving forward that you're anticipating now that you've got your quarterback, it appears, for this class, and how that can impact other areas as we look ahead.
Tim and I were actually talking about this earlier. I mean, this is a kid who is a well-known kid on the recruiting trail. Even though he was committed to SMU, he plays at one of the top high school football programs in the entire country. Knows a lot of kids, goes to camps, has a lot of relationships, and we certainly expect him to be a big recruiter. And he was with Alabama's top recruiter in last year's class, not Roll Tide Ricky or Roll Tide Willie, but what's his name? Ryan Williams. God, all these Roll Tides. Roll Tide Willie was the guy that Alabama fans became familiar with this past cycle, and of course, Ryan was a big help on the recruiting trail, and that's who he was with this past weekend. So that's certainly a guy that we feel like is going to be a big recruiter for Alabama moving forward. Whether it's wide receivers, offensive linemen, players in the state of Texas, I think he's going to be a big weapon. I mean, this is a kid who's won 2 state championships at Duncanville High School, and I think Alabama was really hoping to go ahead and get him on board, especially this month. I mean, this past weekend was the first official visit weekend. There's 3 more weekends. We don't know if he's going to be making it back to Tuscaloosa, but he knows who is going to be at Alabama over these next 3 weeks. The top targets, the guys that they're really going after, especially at wide receiver and the offensive line. He's going to be making those calls and reaching out to them a lot and trying to help recruit these players to Alabama.
Yeah, and you think about the state of Texas and some championship caliber quarterbacks that have come from the Lone Star State, made their way to Tuscaloosa. Greg McElroy was an inherited guy by Nick Saban's staff, but you get into Jalen Hurts, you get into right now Jalen Milroe. It's been a pretty illustrious line there of Lone Star State signal callers.
And that carries some weight too. I mean, these kids know each other, but when you're one of the best quarterbacks in the nation and in the state of Texas and successful, these kids know who Keelon Russell is. He'll have that reputation. He'll have that respect among his peers. So it's not going to be like, who's this guy? Where's he from? They're going to know who he is.
Let's take a look at what Alabama is getting in Keelon Russell from the state of Texas. Here you see him working out of the shotgun, trips to the field, nice little step up into the pocket. How about an easy post there at Jerry World for a touchdown? Again, this is a lot of stuff, right, that translates to the next level. You want to see him move from the pocket, Andrew, and show that he can do it with his legs. He does it right there as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is a kid who had over 3,200 yards passing during his junior season, had 38 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, but he also completed over 74% of his passing attempts. So, I mean, he likes to throw the football. He's, likes to stay in the pocket, but, he can beat you with his legs, and, he's got a lot of athleticism. We heard a lot about him this spring as far as, using his legs a lot more, being able to be a dangerous weapon in that way. Even though he rushed for over 300 yards last season, I think he might, surpass that this upcoming year. But he's an unbelievable athlete at the quarterback position. And you look at the success that Coach DeBoer had with Michael Penix last year, and I think that's something that really stood out to him and his family. And they've spoken about it, and I think they kind of feel like they're on a similar path.
Yeah, we'll a little bit of trouble with the stream, but there you see it again, moving to his left, off platform, hell of a throw, steps up in the pocket, delivers, shows some patience, poise. Tim Watts, guy that can beat you a couple different ways throwing the football. He's not just a guy that at the high school level looks like he steps up to look to run, keeps those eyes up the field, and continues to try to make strikes.
You know what happens? A lot of times, high school quarterbacks who are athletic and can run, they don't want to be labeled as that guy can run. We saw this with Jalen Milroe in high school. Had Jalen Milroe decided to run, had that been his focus, he'd have rushed for 4,000 yards. I think he was literally unstoppable because when he did pull it and run, I mean, he was just a monster in the open field. I think that's very similar here. Why run when you can pass it? It's a very strong offense. He's got a good arm. You can tell he's smart. You can tell he makes adjustments in there. Now, there'll be a little bit of knock because he plays with so much talent. But to me, you got to be really good to play with that talent. And I think he fits that. When you're looking at the small things, can he throw? Is his head up? Does he have movement and all that stuff? If there's any knock on him, he's kind of light in the britches, which is normally 17 years old. I think that's where the Jaden Daniels comparisons come in, but he's going to be fine. He's got a big body. I mean, he's got a nice frame. He's solidly built, so he'll be able to bulk up with those 3 or 4. That meal pass, that'll get him. That'll get 20 pounds on him when he gets to Alabama. But real quick, before we continue, we want to take you guys to take 1 minute. Give us that thumbs up. Give us the like. We're still trying to get to 10,000 here. Andrew's going to give you that hat that I'm tired of seeing when we get to 10,000. Tired of seeing this hat. He didn't even go. He's not even a golfer, but please give us a thumbs up and like, and we appreciate for everybody that's tuning in. Thank you.
Absolutely. And definitely, if you want more on Keelon Russell's flip to the Alabama Crimson Tide and so much more, literally on a minute-by-minute basis, BamaOnline.com is where you need to be. The roundtable, more than ever, guys.
It's busy.
Mean, that's where you need to be. Absolutely. With Andrew Bone, Tim Watts, Joseph Hastings, Charlie Potter, Clint Lamb, Jimmy Stein, going to take great care of you right there at BOL. So, again, as we talk about the formation, Andrew, of this class, you said it. This is a guy with a voice, with an impactful voice, it seems like, with recruits that are still out there, some of which visited Alabama with Keelon Russell last weekend. So what about a Ty Haywood, a guy like that Tim Watts has gone as far as to say that this could be the most talented offensive line class Alabama has ever signed. I got to think that's an area where this helps too.
No doubt about it. Especially with Ty Haywood. I mean, this kid that grew up an Alabama fan, made his first trip to Tuscaloosa this past weekend, was with Keelon Russell and a lot of these other guys throughout the weekend. And, we feel like Alabama made a really major move with him. Being a Texas kid, we can certainly expect that Alabama and Keelon Russell are certainly going to turn up the heat even more with him moving forward. But offensive line, they don't have any offensive line commitments just yet. But a lot of those top guys, Ty Haywood was kind of the first big one that came into Tuscaloosa. Now you're going to have the rest of them over the next 3 weeks that are going to be visiting. And, it's going to be interesting to kind of see how that offensive line shakes out, which we believe is going to shake out really well. Could potentially be one of Alabama's best offensive line classes in quite a while, with the guys that they are heavily involved with. And then wide receiver position. I mean, you've got Latzir Brooks already committed, so he's excited. Ryan Williams has already tweeted out or posted on his Instagram page how excited he is about Keelon Russell's decision. Now, who else can you go get? A Caleb Cunningham out of Mississippi, who's a 5-star that's going to be in town on June the 21st, or potentially even Derek Meadows, who is also going to be in on the 21st. So those are going to be two guys that I certainly expect Keelon Russell is going to reach out to almost immediately.
We've got some jokes in the comments too. We love it. We love all the interaction with our viewers, our subscribers, our fans here. Jor here in the comments, Tim, says, do you think, actually, this was another comment by Jor. Let me get to it. Any chance that, maybe Keelon Russell flips to linebacker? Jor thought.
You got linebacker Jones. I tell you, that's kind of, the thing about this to me, what this commitment is like, it's like the offensive version of Derek Smith. The defensive class needed that gem, that jewel. Derek Smith woke up the defensive class. There's other good defensive players in there, but Derek Smith's a guy that's looking at, possible 5 stars, he's a top 50 type recruit. The offense has good guys. Latzir Brooks, to me, is one of the best wide receivers in the country. However, the whole world hasn't caught on yet. They're catching up. Everybody knows who Keelon Russell is. And you look, it's been, I think that the bigger question going into this staff is, will they be able to recruit defense? Well, we were 8 recruits in going, hey, are we going to get any offense, right? So this is their gym. This is their guy. And I think everyone was curious to see who Alabama would get at quarterback and who would be Kalen DeBoer's first quarterback commitment. So it almost seems fitting that it's a 6'3", 185-pound Texas quarterback who commits with the history that Alabama's had at that position in Texas.
Andrew, when you think about juice and providing that to a class and momentum, timing is good too, especially with another big weekend in Tuscaloosa on tap, right? Where official visitors, and not just official visitors, you got camps that are ongoing. You got 26, 27 guys that could be impacted by this as well.
Yeah, one thing we heard after I think it was on Sunday afternoon, was Alabama was really hoping that they could go ahead and get Keelon Russell on board to help recruit over these next few weeks, and they were certainly able to go ahead and get. I don't think they were pressuring him. Hey, you need to commit, or we're going to look elsewhere. But I think they were certainly hoping that they could get him on board with some of these big names. I mean, they're even going to have another Texas kid in town this weekend, Nick Townsend. Out of Decaney High School in Spring, Texas, who's one of Alabama's top overall tight end targets. So we can expect that Keelon's going to be reaching out to him, but they've got another big weekend coming up, some commitments that are going to be in town, offensive linemen. We've got a lot of names that are on the BOL roundtable right now, and it's going to be stacked over the course of the next couple of weeks, not just this weekend. June the 14th, they've got a big weekend. June the 21st, that final weekend before the dead period hits. Very important weekend for Alabama, but also going to be watching a lot of visits elsewhere as well to see if Alabama can hang on to some of these guys that they potentially leave for.
Yeah, that's a big part of this too, Tim. You're trying to retain guys at the same time because we know commitments are taking visits to other places, and you're still trying to close the deal on some very important targets. So it's this juggling act, plates in the air. And it's just still crazy that it's the month of June, but that's where we're at. And, when you think about the importance of this commitment moving forward, specific guys maybe that you're thinking about and how this could impact their decisions.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this staff isn't shy from a little hard work, are they? I mean, we saw that in the spring when they were practicing and hosting 60, 70 guys a week. And then you come up here, they're having camps, double days of camps, and they're hosting 12 official visitors. There's not a lot of sleep. There's not a lot of watching Shrek with the kids, when that's going on. You're doing a lot of work, a lot of maintenance, keeping an eye on it. And they're going to keep that pace. But with Russell, I think what you're looking at, we're not expecting a huge wide receiver class. Maybe this will change it a little bit. I think the offensive line, I think a lot of people are looking at that. Now you know who you're blocking for. Now you've got your quarterback calling you. And we've seen him do a great job. I mean, everybody from Jackson Lloyd, we reported today, Micah DeBose is on campus. There's another guy, an in-state prospect, who's one of the top targets, Ohio State, LSU. Everybody wants this guy. And I think the offensive line is where you're looking at now, because wide receiver, I'll tell you, I think Shep's pretty particular. I think we heard that going in. We heard he was watching, 100 plus film. 100 plus prospects on tape. I think he's very particular. So I think they're going to be looking for exactly what they want. But this won't hurt you. The one thing about this, it definitely won't hurt you with any prospect.
Andrew, so when we look at these next couple of weekends specifically, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday on the Monday show, but the guys that you have circled now, maybe does that change a little bit with Keelon Russell officially in the fold? Or maybe you already had taken that very real possibility into account when you hit on one or two guys yesterday. Is there any shift in that, or is it still pretty much what we heard from you on Monday?
Well, I think it's still pretty much the same. As long as you are getting the guys that you want on campus, and you can close the guys that you really want. I mean, that's going to be the most important thing. But as Tim mentioned, getting your quarterback, knowing who your quarterback is going to be in this class certainly helps with the offensive line targets that are going to be visiting. Like we said, there's 0 offensive line commitments. They've only had 1 of its targets on campus this summer. The remaining targets are going to be visiting over the next 3 weekends, and now they know who Keelon Russell is and who their quarterback's going to be. So that's going to be important. I think, defense, they're going to be just fine. I mean, there's some big names that are going to be on the defensive side that are going to be visiting. But how's this offensive line class going to shake out? How's the running back class going to shake out? How's the tight end class going to shake out? Because, right now they only have Turbo Rogers on its running back board. There were a couple guys in Tuscaloosa this past weekend, including Jamarian Morrow and Jordan Davidson. how things kind of shake out with them over the course of the next 4 or 5 weeks. The tight end wise, as we mentioned, Nick Townsend coming in this weekend. Andrew Olish was in town this past weekend, and they'll have some other guys, including Caleb Edwards out of California, visiting in the next 2 weeks.
Tim, you've often talked about how it's important to be first or last in this process once the officials really start to take place. So with that in mind, how important was it to go ahead and get Keelon Russell in the fold publicly before he was able to maybe go to Florida, go to Oregon, and get to work for your side of things?
I mean, he just spent a weekend, 48 hours with 3 of the commitments and 8 uncommitted of the top prospects. So the timing couldn't be much better from that aspect. To have him on campus. And again, first, you roll the dice. If you go last, if you're not first, you might not go at all. You might not get a chance. Alabama went first with Keelon. In this situation, Florida, Oregon, they're not going to get a chance. I mean, that's going to lock it down. But you get all that love and that how great the visit was because it's your first visit. And then the other schools know the benchmark and they're trying to beat it. If you're confident in what you do, and I think Nick Saban's staff believed in this, and I think Kalen DeBoer's staff believed it. If you're comfortable with what you do and how you handle things, you don't worry who's going after you. And I think they set the bar, and I think they set the bar high. And look, we're used to having official visitor weekends where the news was good, but everything about this, all the feedback was good from these visitors. They had 3 commitments on campus. They all, confirmed their commitments. You get a commitment. Now, this is Tuesday. He just went home on Sunday. You get a commitment from a top offensive target. So I think it was a win-win this week, going first and getting those guys on campus. And now you just got to ride it out and see what happens.
Darnell RTR checking in the comments, guys, says his comp for Keelon Russell is Hendon Hooker, the former Tennessee quarterback. Can see some of that. I see some Geno Smith from back in the day. And I know people hear Geno Smith and say, Geno Smith's turned out to be a pretty damn good quarterback. And maybe also some Jared Goff in terms of his body type and his fluidity when he throws a football. So any comps for us that you guys have that comes to mind? Do you try to stay away from those, kind of let guys be who they're going to be?
I don't love comps. I think they're tough in a lot of situations, but I do like Charles Powers, Jaden Daniels.
Okay.
I know that's a hot one, but if you look at him again, you go back to the build, the ability to run, and the ability to throw. And of course, that's a hot one to say right now. I mean, none of these guys we're talking about, Hendon Hooker, Geno Smith, all these guys were top 3-round draft picks in the NFL, had really good college careers. You would take that all day long with any of them, in my opinion. But I think Jaden's good, especially from the escapability aspect. Jaden had that, and I thought that's what made him special at LSU. I thought he was a good passer and all, but his ability to pull it and run, I think that Russell has some of that.
Whopper. Not just one Whopper for the username. I like that, though. Now I'm BK craving with that.
I feel like that's a commercial.
He even put the burger in the avatar.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
I feel
not
like
fair.
Yeah.
Come on, Whopper. He says Michael Penix, right-handed Michael Penix with that release, and maybe some of that pocket mobility and navigation skills. Guys, what do we need to look forward to now? Andrew, I'll go to you with that. Our coverage, certainly at BamaOnline.com, is going to be unrivaled. We know that. But where does the focus go after this with Keelon Russell, Bone?
Well, I think you just have to focus on the guys that are coming in for visits. I mean, obviously, you got to try to hang on to some of your kids that are currently committed that are still taking visits elsewhere that other schools are trying to pry. But I mean, ever since Coach DeBoer arrived in Tuscaloosa and his staff was established, everybody kind of started writing Alabama off. And you look at this class now; they currently ranked as the number 6 recruiting class in the country per On3 Sports, and a lot of their top guys have yet to commit. I mean, it's a big month with a lot of guys that are going to be making decisions after their official visits. And we're probably going to see most of these kids on the commitment list by August. I don't think we're going to see many commitments in the fall. The recruiting calendar's moved up. So now kids are signing on December the 4th. That's the early signing period now. So a lot of kids are going to have their decisions over with before before the season starts. So I think that's what we're watching really closely. Who does Alabama potentially make a big move for this summer? This past weekend, Keelon Russell, Ty Haywood, Chuck McDonald. Chuck McDonald named Alabama as his leader. Had only visited Alabama once before, and came back and said, they're my favorite. So, are you able to hang on to those guys with Alabama as the leader? What's going to happen over these next 3 weeks with some of these other guys that maybe you're behind for right now, that you could potentially pull ahead for after a great visit?
Tim, tell us who's on, who or what is on Watch. We'll call it with you.
I'm really focused on the offensive lineman. I mean, I've been saying this for a while, but Jackson Lloyd, he's a guy that's going to take his visits still like Alabama's did there. Going back to that, people thought that this staff couldn't recruit. I'll be honest, I never saw a single educated opinion on why this staff couldn't recruit. I think it was more wishful thinking from opponents to compare him to Harzan, that was kind of, I think that was definitely hope. First, you set the bar low if that's your comparison. They're obviously are doing better than that, but there was nothing to indicate that these guys didn't know what they were looking at. Obviously, the effort was there from day one. I don't know if there's any staff in the country that's outworking the Alabama staff. And I'm not saying other staffs don't work hard, because they do. I just don't know anybody doing as much as they are right now. And I think they've increased the pace for other SEC teams, because you remember Saban and them had a way of doing things. There was slow periods.
Right.
There has not been a slow period. We can tell you from our workload, there has not been a slow period under DeBoer, and that included not having a Thursday off during spring practice. We were having to chase something. So overall, I think the staff has set it up. Dominoes were the easy thing to say, but I do think they've set up what they want to, and they just got to kick it over, kick that door in, and get some of these big name guys. But I agree with Andrew. I think commitments are coming. I think these guys will be making decisions. They won't get everybody. Nobody gets everybody. But I think, again, if you go back 5 years before Saban retires and said, where's Alabama going to be 5 months after Saban retires, I think everybody would take where we're at right now.
I think it was a couple of weeks ago, Andrew Bone told us right here on the YouTube home for BamaOnline.com that he thought by August 15th, Alabama would have 20 plus commitments at that point. Is that right, Andrew? Am I remembering that correctly?
I must have been in Spain, because he got crazy when I was out of the country.
He got a little crazy.
He got crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Cats away, mouse play, whatnot.
My boy's day drinking when I'm out of the country.
Well,
they're gonna have 20
just at me next time, Tim.
I'm telling you, watch it.
What we got? 11 now? We're at 11, right?
I remember Andrew Bone. I'm pretty sure that's what he guaranteed.
He said it because he's
they're going to have 4 offensive line commitments by August 15th. So that puts you at 15. I'll tell you.
Hey, I don't know, but did Chance Green just give us $10? Is that what this is? I'm still kind of new to how this works, but Chance Green with the $10. Yeah, that'll get me a little something.
Cargo shorts.
Get me something cold after the show. No, that's something cold after the show.
That's a pair of cargos for Travis, who's getting closer and closer to the bandwagon.
I went and saw the Rolling Stones last night. Thankfully, I didn't see a lot of cargo shorts there. Chance Green, huge fan. Love you guys. Watch y'all all the time. Thank you for all you do. This is just the beginning of the DeBoer era. Roll Tide roll. Thanks, Chance.
Thanks,
Chance. We appreciate that. There you go, Chance. Yes, sir.
We're speechless.
We like the gold.
That's our first tip. That's speechless. We're
speechless.
Yeah. We're not
Chance, just so you know, that's like a 80-10-10 split between Tim and Andrew and me, but we appreciate it.
Andrew takes that shirt off at 20.
Oh God! Don't encourage that behavior.
He said 20 plus commitments.
Oh gosh!
Oh Lord, a button came on.
He's got a shirt on under his shirt.
That's 20 to keep it on. I stand corrected. But I will say that the one thing about this Russell commitment is the I don't think you can overlook how fast this happened, because when he left Tuscaloosa, it was already hot and heavy. Why he was in Tuscaloosa, that Bama was in good shape. So the other schools were on the phone with him. Obviously SMU, and again, a great job by that staff, a good evaluation. Everything they did was good there. But you had other schools, Oregon, Florida, other schools staying involved that just wanted to visit. So, a testament to to Russell, and the one thing that it stands out to me is we were told he's ready to start recruiting for Alabama. And that's a sign of a leader. Not every quarterback's going to do that. Not every quarterback's first thought is going to be, I want to help them recruit. And you get Russell, Willie, and Ryan. You get Russell, Willie, and Ryan, RWR, and you're going to be land. We might have 20 by August. Andrew might be right.
Well, there you go. Andrew's starting to win out on that. All right, guys. Again, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, we certainly hope you'll do that right now. Hit the subscribe button. It would help us out tremendously. Little thumbs up, little like while you're at it. We'll take one of those too. And be very appreciative of that. Turn on those notifications. You'll get all of our YouTube content as it drops right here on the YouTube home for BamaOnline.com. And of course, first and foremost, you want to be with us at BamaOnline.com, right there on the roundtable or premium message board. These guys dominate with the stuff they're going to bring you on a minute-by-minute basis. Joseph Hastings does a great job for us. Charlie Potter, of course, Jimmy Stein, and also Clint Lamb. So if you like this, you're really, really going to love BOL. Hey, guys, this is an emergency show. I'm at a Panera. So if you need an iced coffee or something, anything I can get to go for you guys, maybe a scone or something, a muffin.
$10. You use that $10, buddy.
That wild rice soup thing they have is one of my favorite. I'm not a big fan of Panera, but man, the wife, the daughter, they love it.
The biggest thing I don't like is they've got you working for them as soon as you come in the door. You order, you pick up your food, and you bus your table.
Yeah, I'm not doing.
And you tip. But anyway, we're appreciative of the Wi-Fi. Absolutely.
You got a good workspace.
They can jack this stream at any moment,
Yeah.
But we did buy something.
I think Burger King.
We're not those people that post up for like 10 hours,
I think Burger King jacked our stream earlier. Whopper came flying in and left us. Every one of us is now thinking about going to find us a BK.
Yeah, here you go. Clarence Oldfield in the comments. This might be an Andrew Bone burner. Andrew Bone is the best. If he said there would be over 20 commits, then I would almost be willing to put money.
14.
That went all rolls around. I don't know. They'll be here. Something. Good job, Clarence. We appreciate you checking in. Absolutely. Also, guys, we're getting more information on the gold.
Look at
comments, the sponsored, the paid for comments.
Craig's our agent. Craig
says YouTube gets 30% off the top of those. Wow. Yeah, Craig, give us a call.
Yes.
We need some YouTube representation.
We need some more info. Beautiful kids, by the way.
Go get you that iced coffee now.
Yeah, I need something. Need something cold.
We can't afford it. We can't afford it if they took 30%.
That's right. I mean, now we're down to
bag of chips.
Now we're down to maybe a Miller Lite or something. Anyway, hey guys, appreciate it as always. You guys are the best at what you do, no doubt about it. You need to come check them out right there with us at BamaOnline.com. Andrew Bone, Tim Watts, guys. It's been a good afternoon.
We'll be back Friday with our recruiting show.
Yeah,
we'll be covering all this unless there's breaking news, and you'll see us earlier.
Yeah, and you never know where we could do this from. It could be a Burger King next time. That's part of the fun, right? Absolutely. For Bone, for T Watts, I'm TR. Thanks again for joining us. And until next time, so long, everybody.